Hello, welcome to our November angel reading. I'm your host, Sandra Ray, and for those of you who haven't met me before, I'm an author, a healer, and a spiritual teacher. And I'm so glad you're here to join us for this monthly reading because I've so much to share with you. November is bringing so much for us to look forward to. I'm going to talk about the theme for November. I'll explain a little bit about the astrological dates coming up, and we'll touch on some of those key dates and explain what they mean. I'll share with you about Vibrate Higher, my 5-day energy reset, which you'll be able to join. And I'm also going to be sharing with you the angel cards for the month ahead. So lots to go through. So let's get started. First of all, I was tuning into the theme for the month, and the predominant theme that was coming up was access. So for me, I always find that November it's such a spiritual month, and we have this theme of the number 11. Of course, November is an 11 month, the 11th month of the year, which is a master number, and this helps us to access the higher realm. So we have this running through the month, but we also have other key dates that are coming up. And of course, we have in the wake of Samhain, which was on the 31st of October, which many people know as Halloween, and we have that thinning of the veil between the realms, the physical and the spiritual, where it was said that the spirit could pass through more easily into the physical realms, but also we could access the spiritual realms more easily. So that is continuing on into November. And we also have the 1st of November, which is the 111 gateway, followed by the 1111 gateway on the 11th of November. So there's so much opportunity to tune in, to access the spiritual realms, and to know that they aren't outside of us. We often think of the physical and the spiritual as being two separate things. So to know that actually they're within us, they're all around us. The spirit world is integral to the physical. It's not one or the other. And in the title for this podcast, if you've ever seen the image that I have for this podcast, it says, "Your spiritual power is your greatest strength." And why is it that our spiritual power is our greatest strength? Why do you think that that's one of our key strengths? Well, for me, it's simply, well, first and foremost, we are spirit. We come from spirit. Most of our existence is in the spiritual realms, and we pour a tiny bit of ourselves into this physical body. So we really have to nurture that aspect of our being, to see ourselves for what we truly are. And when we are focused solely on the physical, when we neglect the spiritual, when we are thinking that we're just physical and that we don't have a spiritual aspect, then it's like we're neglecting a huge part of ourselves. And if you could imagine believing that you're something that you're not, if you, I don't know, if you were your baby toe and you thought that that was the entirety of who you were, just being your baby toe, and you didn't realize you had this whole body attached, that you just thought that you were just this tiny little part of you, when actually that's just such a small part. There's all this other aspect to you. So I know that many of us, when we're dealing with issues in life, and every day we have to approach problems or issues or challenges or whatever it is we're going through, and we often come at it from the perspective of our physical selves. We come at it from the perspective that we need to solve everything. And when we do that, when we are focused solely on the physical, we forget that everything can be solved quicker and more effortlessly from our spiritual aspect. So if you can get to a place where you realize, okay, I don't have to effort, I don't have to struggle, I don't have to resolve this from my physical limited self, I can access the spiritual and I can come to a quicker and easier solution. Then when you're operating from this aspect primarily, then problems that present themselves, or seeming problems that present themselves, um, they become rather inconsequential. They are literally like blips where we see, okay, that's not something I even have to deal with or think about, because you know that you're rising above it and you're seeing it from a different perspective. You're not in the thick of it. So it's not to say that you'll never have any problems if you're operating from this higher perspective. It's simply that when you start to rise above the level of where your problems are at, you get to operate in your power. You get to own your spiritual power, rather than just reacting to every little occurrence or everything that life throws at you. So hopefully that makes sense. So when we have opportunity to access the spiritual realms more easily, then it's definitely something that we should grab hold of with both hands and really embrace the opportunity that November brings to be connected more closely with our spiritual side. And I'm going to teach you how you can do that. I'm going to be offering all of you who are listening the chance to take part in my November Vibrate Higher. It's a 5-day energy reset where you're going to really experience how to raise your frequency. And I'm so excited because when you experience what it feels like to raise your vibration and to live at that higher vibration, you get to really see what it's like when you're operating from that level. So I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. Firstly, though, I want to look at the key astrological dates for the month, because as I said, there's a lot coming up, and we have the first, which is the 111 gateway, so the 1st of November. The 4th of November is the super new moon in Scorpio. I'll explain what that means in a moment. The 11th, as I said, is the 1111 Stargate. We have on the 19th, the full moon in Taurus, which is going to be a partial lunar eclipse. And then on the 21st and 22nd, Sagittarius season is starting. So what does that mean? Well, starting with the 111 gateway on the 1st of November. So 1 is a number that represents intuition, it represents new beginnings, and of course, being the 1st of the month, it's the start of this new phase. November is bringing this, as I said, this opportunity to access this 1-1 frequency, and the 111 gateway is going to amplify that. It's going to be like starting over, that new beginning. And it's also an angel number that indicates that your angels and guides are near, and they're helping you to access and to use your intuition to hear their guidance, to hear their what they're saying to you, their messages, and to access it a little bit more easily. So when we take some time, particularly on the 1st of November, to sit and to tune in, to talk to our angels, to talk to our guides, don't be surprised if you find that you're getting a clear message back, or if you find it easier to get those messages and those answers that you've been seeking. So following the 1st, we have the super new moon in Scorpio on the 4th. So Scorpio energy is all about transformation. And with the super new moon, obviously it's like a new moon, but the power is going to be amplified. So the new moon is always about setting intentions. It's about new beginnings, new starts. And this is going to be very much the case with this new moon, particularly with this Scorpio energy, with this energy of transformation. So it's going to be super powered, and it'll really give us the opportunity to tune in, to ask ourselves, in what way am I being called to transform? What is calling me in my life to transform, to change, to rise up to something that maybe I've been avoiding or that I want to do, but I haven't had the courage to do. And it's about expanding your vessel, your being, to hold more light. And this is really key. I think so many of us are being called to expand our energy, our vessel, whatever you want to call it, to hold more light so that we can be the light for others. But we haven't had the opportunity to, or we don't know how, or we haven't had the time to. We've been so busy with life. So I really encourage you during the month of November, and particularly during these gateways, the first, the super new moon, and with the 1111 Stargate, to really start to own your power and to allow yourself to expand, to hold more light. And again, I'll explain a little bit more about what that means in a moment. But when we start to do that, it's like a wave. We create this wave, this ripple effect that then helps others to do what we've been doing, what we've been guided to do, to expand our light, to show up in bigger ways, to be the light. And that really, it has such a huge ripple effect. So again, we are approaching the 1111 Stargate after the new moon, and it's such a beautiful time because the 1111 number is associated with spiritual awakening, with higher alignment, with balance, with ascension. So really such a key date in November to just, it's like taking yourself, it's like a super highway to jump to the next level, to ascend to the next frequency, to step into the next version of you that is wanting to come through you, but maybe has been held back a little bit. Maybe you haven't allowed that version of you to come through. And a lot of us, I know myself, when I'm expanding my light, when I'm expanding and rising my frequency, often there's like pushback. There's the part of me, like the egoic self, that's afraid of expanding into my power because it knows that it will be diminished. The ego will be diminished in some way, because in order to allow the light in, we have to release what no longer serves us. And it's not to say that the ego is a bad thing or it's negative or any of that. It's simply saying that it's been something that we have used as an illusion. And when we realize we no longer need the illusion of it, then we can simply let it go and drop it. But there is pushback, and that's where that can create a little bit of fear, or it could be coming up in another way for you. It could be coming up as presenting itself as anger or jealousy or judgment or some other heavy emotion. So what I would encourage you to do is to simply set your intention to move through any resistance with ease, with grace, and to rise up to the next level. And intention is such a powerful thing. It is when you have focused intention, it is so powerful, and it really just removes all those blocks or any seeming blocks that might be in your path. So during the 1111 Stargate, it is the perfect day to work with the angel of November at Nakiel. For those of you in Fiercely Spiritual Family, you'll remember working with Adnakiel, who is the angel who brings the power of vision, who brings optimism and the ability to make your dreams reality. So really such a beautiful angel to work with, and such a powerful day to work with this angel. So following the 1111 Stargate, we have the full moon in Taurus on the 19th. So again, I mentioned this is a partial lunar eclipse. So it's not quite a full lunar eclipse, but we're still going to be feeling that eclipse energy. And for those of you who've listened frequently, you remember that the eclipse energy is all about the shadow side. The full moon is all about healing, and with the eclipse energy bringing about that shadow into the open, bringing the shadow to the light, it'll be the opportunity to heal our shadow aspects. So again, asking yourself, what's been hidden in the depths of your consciousness, in the depths of your being, in the depths of your emotions. What has been hidden there that is looking to be healed and to be released? So with the full moon, because it's in Taurus, this earth sign is going to bring in this grounded energy. It's going to bring in this dependable, determined energy. And of course, Taurus loves the comforts and luxuries of life. So the full moon will bring this slower pace, and we'll really get to sit and to really tune into what shadows are coming up to be healed and just allow space for that. It'll give us that opportunity to allow that space to do that. So really powerful full moon coming up. Then on the 21st and 22nd, we have Sagittarius season starting, and Sagittarius is a fire sign. So we have this fiery confidence coming up, but also we have this beautiful, gentle, intuitive side of Sagittarius, which we'll be able to access as well. So the combination of both the fiery confidence, but coupled with this gentleness, this intuitiveness, it's a really powerful combination. And when they're in balance, it's going to be at Sagittarius season, it's going to be a really powerful time to really step into your power in a balanced and aligned way. So lots to look forward to. The angel cards, I decided to use a different pack today, and we're going to be working with the Angels of Light cards. And normally I pick the cards in advance, but today I felt working with a different pack that we would do it here and pick the cards live. So I'm just going to work on cleansing the pack. So I'm going to ask the angels to cleanse and clarify the energy in and around these cards. And I'm going to set the intention that this reading is for the highest benefit of all concerned. And I'm going to ask for the cards that are most appropriate for the month of November to come up. So just tuning into the cards, allowing for that cleansing to complete. So this is something I usually do beforehand, but I just thought it would benefit some of you to go through this process with me. So I'm going to shuffle the cards and set my intention for the cards that are appropriate for the month to come up. Okay, so 3 cards have just popped out. So I'm going to go with them. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So the first card that has come up is this card, which is called Beauty. So the affirmation for this card is, I recognize my beauty and that of others. So I love this card because it's talking about beauty, but it's not just the beauty that we see around us. It's your inner beauty, your inner strength. And it's reminding us to focus on our inner beauty, our inner perfection, if you will, that purity within. And when you focus on your own purity, on your own beauty, on your own perfection, then that comes through you. It's like it shines out through every pore of your being. You radiate that beauty from you. And then others see that light in you, they see that beauty, and it's not a surface level beauty, it's an inner radiance that you're projecting out, that you're radiating out. And when you focus on that first and foremost in yourself, then you can begin to see that in others. And when you can begin to see that in others, you can see them for who they truly are. So you look beyond the surface level, you look beyond the physical. And again, remember I was talking about how at the start of the month, I was saying, you know, we've been so focused on the physical, we're neglecting the spiritual aspect of ourselves. So here we have a chance to look beyond the physical and to see through that person into their spiritual beauty and radiance. And it's really such a beautiful thing to be able to do that, because when you can look beyond so often when we see somebody, when we encounter somebody, it could be someone you know, it could be someone you see on the street. There's a few things that we do. We'll judge them in a number of ways, usually the clothes they're wearing, their demeanor, how they look, their overall the look about them. We'll judge, and it's not even saying that we're judging it in a negative way, because we don't, most of the time we don't even realize we're doing this. It's just habit where we immediately apply beliefs to these people that we have taken on. So we do this immediately when we look at people, but when we're operating from this aspect of recognizing my beauty and that of others, we're immediately looking for the beauty, looking for the light, looking for the radiance within, and looking beyond the outer physical reality of those people. So when we do that, there is just immediately you create that soul connection. You create a soul connection because you're looking beyond your belief system and you're looking into the light of their being. And when you can see others, not just for their physical aspects, but when you can look for and see their radiance, their soul, their light, then you're just operating on a whole new level. So I love that this card has come up, and to remind us to be in that space of innocence, of wonder, of looking beyond what we might have first initially seen when we encounter others, and ourselves, of course, as well, because it all starts with us. And then the second card, this works perfectly with the first because it is really just a continuation. The card is vulnerability, and the affirmation is vulnerability is my strength. So here we are being reminded to open up and to be vulnerable, not to guard ourselves, not to cloak ourselves in fears, but to really open up and be vulnerable and to show our true nature, our true aspects, and to break down those barriers, those walls that we've built. And again, it's related to beauty because we're looking beyond the physical, we're looking beyond a person's personality, we're looking beyond their physical features or looks or what they're wearing, we're looking beyond the role that they play, the job they have, we're looking beyond all of those things, and we're seeing them for who they really are. And the angels remind us that when we're in the energy of being guarded, protecting ourselves, when we're in that energy of everybody and life is dangerous, I have to protect myself, I have to be seen as being a certain way. Really, the reason why we do that is because we're in fear. We're in fear that someone will see us for something less than what we are. So we have to project an image of being powerful, being beautiful, being confident, and we feel that we have to project all these images. But in truth, we already are powerful, we already are beautiful, we already are all the things. So there's nothing to fear. And it's only when we start pretending that we're these things when we believe we're not, that we start creating all these layers of fear and just really getting away from our true nature. So when we're going back to being vulnerable, we go back to being free. We go back to being free to express ourselves truly as we are, without any fear attached, without worrying what other people think, because we know we are perfect. We are enough just as we are in our true expression. And nobody has to validate that for us, because we have already validated that for ourselves. And we are so confident in who we are that it doesn't matter anyway what anybody else thinks, because if they're judging us harshly, it's judging through the lens of fear, and that's not even a reality. That's just creating all these different layers of fear. So being vulnerable is being in your power. And I know it sounds like a contradiction in terms, but really it takes so much courage to be vulnerable when you think about it. So the angels are guiding us to become aware of how we put up a facade, how we play a role, how we feel, how we think that we have to be a certain way in order to be perceived a certain way, and really just to drop all of that and to really step back into who we truly are, to own that. And the third card that has come up is the card which is commitment. And the affirmation says, I'm committed to my vision. So remember, we were talking about the angel for the month of November, who is Adnakiel. And Adnakiel will help us to really bring our dreams, make our dreams reality. And this is through the power of vision and optimism. So when we work with the angels, when we are in a state of commitment, when we are committed to our growth, when we're committed to our spiritual growth, we have so much power behind us. We have so much energy there for us. The angels are reminding us to be committed to ourselves, to our vision, to our dreams, and to really go for it. And this 11-month November is all about that. It's about being focused, being aligned, being connected with spirit, and knowing that we are so much more than just the physical. And the angels are guiding us here really to stay committed towards our visions, to stay committed and focused, and to know that everything we think, everything we say, everything we do, every action either takes us towards our vision or away from our vision. So asking the angels for their help and their guidance to stay committed, to stay focused, to stay in that vision, and to live that vision, so that we can make our dreams a reality, and we can hold that light then for others to step into their vision and to be committed to their growth and their dreams as well. So when we honor ourselves, when we do this for ourselves first, we open the door for others to do the same, because they see how we are stepping into our highest power and living that. And that really, it's so inspiring for others when we step into that ourselves, when we do that for ourselves, often as empaths, as highly sensitive people, as healers, and just working in this field, we often feel that we have to dim our light so that we don't stand out, so that we don't make others feel bad about themselves. But it's totally the opposite, because when we shine our light, others are inspired by it. Others are uplifted by it. We really do nothing by dimming our light. There is no benefit to us. There's no benefit to others. And even though we think that we're staying at their level and not outshining them, even though we think that that will help them, it does not. It does not help anybody to dim your light, or to stay small, or to stay stuck in fear. It has no benefit. So really just honoring that during this month, that you will have that chance, that opportunity to step up in new ways that maybe you haven't had the courage to step up before. And that might be challenging. It may bring up fears or things that you haven't faced, but it's all good, because you're ascending to new levels of being. So if you remember at the start of the podcast, I mentioned about Vibrate Higher, the November 5-day energy reset. So again, this is the perfect month to do this, because we are being supported by the energy that November brings. The 5-day reset, it'll kickstart your frequency so you can effortlessly begin to raise your emotional vibration. You'll start to rise up the emotional vibration chart, which I know a lot of you are familiar with who are working with me, where we know that the lower levels of the emotional vibration are those emotions that I talked about, fear, anger, jealousy, all those kind of lower vibration emotions. So when we rise up from those and rise into the higher frequencies of joy, peace, love, bliss, when we start to rise up, it means that we start to feel better because we're rising up to those higher frequency emotions. But not only do we feel better, life starts to get easier because we're operating from that higher frequency, and you begin to surf the wave, so to speak. You're not getting pulled down, by every wave. It's not crashing down on top of you. You're surfing the waves, and you're really just seeing things from that higher perspective. So things get easier when we're operating from that space. So we're not going to wait for things to get good in order to feel good. When we're consciously raising our vibration, we start to feel good no matter what is going on around us. And we don't have to wait for life to get good, because it doesn't work that way. We all know that it doesn't work that way, but still we try to change things from the outside. But we have to change from the inside first. We have to change our frequency, and then everything around us starts to match that. So if this is something that resonates with you, if you'd like to join in, you can go to my website. You can click on courses.sandraray.com/vibrate higher. I'll put a link below in the show notes, and you can go there to access Vibrate Higher. I hope to see you there, and thank you so much once again for joining me. It's been such a pleasure. I hope you've benefited from this angel reading and from the November energies. And of course, I will see you very soon in the next episode of the Fiercely Spiritual podcast. Bye-bye.